Today we're going to be talking about a foundational level from Bookkeeping Fast Track. So this is great. If you guys saw the newsletter, today's lesson is going to be great if you are brand new. If you are brand new. Also, I mean, if you've been around for a while and you need a refresher, it'll be good too. I should ask if we have any newbies on the call today. Either let me know if it's your first time on the Locker Room Live at all. Oh, Kathy, did she say last week was your first time? But maybe you're saying, so I want to know, like, if this is your first time at all, but then I'm also interested if you're like a brand new to QBO, brand new to bookkeeping. Deb just started this week. Laura's first time here. Christina says she feels like a newbie. Oh, good. Okay, good. All right, so excellent. So we do have a ton of new people. So this is going to be really helpful. It's always a balance. It's always a balance to teach because we want to teach everybody. You can't see it on the sign because it's too blurry, but our byline is Acadian as accounting for everyone. And I picked that specifically because I want to include everyone, right? Like I want, not only is it accounting, but it's also accounting for everyone. So wherever you are on your journey. So it's always a struggle because the people who have done it for a while, they really, really like the more complicated, deeper stuff, but then that gets the newbies lost. And so we have to also do newbie, but then the people that have been around for a while and like the complicated stuff, then that's boring. So anyway, so we have to even it out. And so we have for this year, we developed a schedule. So the beginning of the month is the basic foundational stuff, and then it gets harder throughout the month. So last week was our last Friday of the month. And so that was deeper and more technical. Today, we're going to talk about something more basic. All right, so let's go ahead and get started for realsies. My name is Margie Remmers-Davis, and I am the founder and CEO of Acadian Accounting Education. And welcome to our weekly live stream, Locker Room Live. This is our free class that we offer inside of our free Facebook group called the QBO Gym Locker Room. Inside the locker room. So this is just, I mean, if you're watching this, if you're here live, you already know all of this stuff. This is for the folks that find us on YouTube. Come join us in the locker room. The locker room is your spot for hands-on practice using QuickBooks Online. That is what we do all day, every day. We practice QuickBooks Online. As a member of the locker room, you get a free QBO Quick Start course. This is going to teach you how to set up your QuickBooks Online accountant account, what makes it different from the accounts that business owners get. We teach you how to navigate it, proper workflows, terminology, all that stuff. And of course, you get actual hands-on practice using it in the sample company that is provided by Intuit. In addition to, as a member of the locker room, you get over 100 free exercises for using QuickBooks Online. People are always asking where to find those, which, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that if you are a member of the locker room, and there were a ton of people who said that they were brand new, we emailed you your free course. Okay, that's why we asked for your email when you joined, because we emailed you your free course. If you did not get it for some reason, obviously check your spam, junk, promotion folders. We have a ton of issues. Like right now, we are just going through a major headache with our email deliverability. It probably landed in spam, junk, or promotions. So check there first. And if you can't find it, if you do find it, make sure you mark it as not spam and add us to your contact list. If you can't find it, then email support@acadian.com. That's AKADIAN. And we will help you look for it, okay, or resend it or whatever. It's called the first one, I believe, is called Welcome to the Locker Room. I think it's called something like that. So yeah, so Welcome to the Locker Room tells you how to get your free course, where to access all this, okay? But where you get your free exercises in the Facebook group is in the featured section. So there's a tab here that says featured, but there is also this tile that says featured. And right here it says, Welcome to the Locker Room. This is the exact same as the email that you got. But do check for the email because we want to make sure that, because that's the only way to get your course. And then here is inside this post is the link to the free exercises. Now, it has come to my attention that because there are so many exercises, it takes a while to load. So when you click the link, please, it might be blank at first, give it a minute, and then it will load up. And this just came to my attention. So if that's an issue, we'll fix it. Maybe we'll break it up into the different types of exercises or something like that. Okay. All right, so that is the free exercises. And then also, they can also access the free exercises on our website. Yes, but the link is the same link. So the link that you see here is the same link, it just goes to our website. And so it's still going to have, you're still going to have the same loading issue with it. All right, so also as a member of the locker room, you get to participate in this free live stream. It happens every Friday, but not next week, almost every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And the only way to be a part of it live and interact and ask questions and all that stuff is to be part of the locker room. You can watch the recording later, and many people do, and that's fine. You just don't get the actual exercise that we're working on, and you don't get the camaraderie of us talking to each other and having fun and all of that stuff, okay? So as we do the live stream, in the live stream, we go over our free exercise of the week. So the exercise of the week is actually part of our paid course. So everything that I have talked about so far, free locker room, free course, free exercises, free live stream. Did I say that already? Free. Okay. But we do have paid, programs, and one of them is the QBO Gym, the QBO Gym. The QBO Gym is a simulated environment where you get to actually practice being a bookkeeper for a fictitious business owner. So every month you sit down, you work through the bank feeds, and you send invoices, and something will happen. Something happens to Craig. Craig's our fictitious business owner, and something happens to Craig in his business that you then have to record. And then you go through all of that with him. You reconcile the accounts. You print reports. A lot of times the reports are related to whatever happened earlier in the month, so that you can learn, like an estimates versus actuals report or something like that. Okay. So the QBO Gym is really for the people who say, I really wish that I could get an internship, or I got certified, but I still don't really know what I'm doing. Or I wish that I could just shadow somebody and see, like, I don't even know if I want to be a bookkeeper, if if this is good for me. Or, oh, I said that one already. I got certified, but I don't know what I'm doing. The thing is that, it solves the problem of I can't get experience without a job, and I can't get a job without experience. So that's why we have the QBO Gym. The QBO Gym, everything that you do in the QBO Gym is linked to a proprietary dashboard called Booksmatch. See, what we realized was that as you're going through the gym, you are developing all these skills, and you're not just learning. The thing about Acadian is that you're not just learning by watching a video, you're actually doing. So you're actually learning knowledge and skills. I like to say that you can't learn how to ride a bicycle by watching a video. You have to actually do it. And that's why we get together. Like, that's why we have the locker room. That's like why we have all of this stuff, so that you can actually do it. And you can try out, Joel has put in a link in the chat. You can try out the first month. And by the way, the gym doesn't take a full year to get through. It takes about 42 real-time hours. Each month is about 3 or 4 hours, and you can do the first month just to see what it's like, absolutely free. So another free thing. Joel has put the link in the chat. Anyway, so you're learning all of these skills, and it's all connected to your proprietary dashboard. And Sherry is our winner today. This is not the drawing for those of you who are new, but so this is Sherry's dashboard. She is in top place. We rank everybody. It's kind of fun. And so all of the skills that you have verified, like while you're actually doing it, we're showing it off to the world. We're saying, hey, look. So we have broken up into these different skill groups, and you can click on any one of them. Let's do this one. And it'll drill down to show more detail of what you learned about that. You can compare yourself to other people who are in the gym. That's this one down here. And then, as I showed you before, the everybody is ranked. So if you have the opportunity to open this up to the world, if you want to show off people your skills in QuickBooks Online to potential clients, etc. And so we track three particular we have three particular metrics that we track. The first one is knowledge. So the knowledge is the breadth of things that you have learned how to do, that you've actually practiced since you have been in the gym, since inception, since day one. That's knowledge. But we looked at that and we said, well, that is not a good, that's not good for people who are brand new. Like, people who are brand new shouldn't have to compete with people who've been in for years. So we developed this other metric to kind of balance things out, and that's speed. And speed is not how quickly you get through an exercise, but how many exercises you get through in a particular week. Okay, so the knowledge and the speed kind of balance each other out. So when we do the ranking, it's even. It's more fair than if we just did, you've been in for a million years. Okay. However, the most important metric is actually consistency, because we want to make sure that you're actually working and constantly developing your skills. The reason that this is here is because we developed this dashboard with a recruiter who said that her biggest frustration was reaching out to people who she discovered that were no longer looking for work, that they were, that they already got a job, or that they already, had more clients than they can handle, or whatever. So, so she actually asked us to put in like a little checker. Like, she wanted us to have you guys go in every week and just say, yep, I'm still looking. Yep, I'm still looking. Yep, I'm still looking. We thought that was a little excessive to do that every week. So we said, we're going to have them do it every 2 weeks. And we said, well, why should they just like check a box? We should actually make them do an exercise. And so in order to keep your consistency high, you have to actually increase your skills at least once within 14 days. So every other week. And that's why we have the exercise of the week. The exercise of the week is it's a separate course in your dashboard. And it's specifically for people who have done everything there is to do in the gym, but still need exercises in order to keep their consistency high. But the benefit of that is that we have to have an exercise of the week, and why not share it with everybody? So, yeah, so that's why, like, we're here today. We get to do it. We get to do a free exercise, a free class. But it is specifically for the people who are in the gym. But if you're not, then that's okay too. So that's why you get to join us. All right, let's see. Let's see. June was not seeing my screen, but it looks like everybody else can. Daria says, I absolutely love the Booksmatch slide. How long before you delete them if we can't become a member? So, the only way to get the Booksmatch statistics is to be a member of the gym. Now, if you do the free gym challenge, you'll also see, because we want you to experience what, your Booksmatch stats look like. So, so that's there. If you decide at the end of the challenge that you can no longer, that you can't sign up for the full thing, then I think we can put it on hold for like $10 a month so that they don't get wiped away. Because yeah, it does take, we can't keep your stats forever because it does take processing, computer processing power and space and all of that stuff. All right, but if that's a question for you, you can always write to support@acadian.com and we can help you get that set up. Okay, so now that we've gone through the whole spiel, let's work on the exercise. Okay, as I mentioned today, we're going back to basics and we're going to talk about bank feeds. So Joel has put the link to today's exercise in the chat. If the link that's in the chat is for anyone who does not have the gym. Okay. If you have the gym, you have to have earned 250 points in order to unlock the exercise of the week. That's because if you don't have at least 250 points, there's still a lot of stuff for you to do. You don't have to do the exercise of the week. But if you have 250 points, we'll unlock it and you can follow along here and get credit. If you are a member of the gym, you have to use the link that is here. You cannot use the link in the chat. The one in the chat does not give you Booksmatch credit. Okay, so make sure you use the one here. All right, so we're going to learn about processing bank feeds. All right, so here is our scenario. A key piece of your job as a bookkeeper is to compare the record at the bank to the record in the software. Let's see how to do that in QBO. Now, this is a very basic. As I mentioned, today's exercise comes from our Bookkeeping Fast Track course, and which starts as the Fast Track course is designed to take you from absolute newbie, knowing nothing about bookkeeping. The very first lesson is, what is bookkeeping? Okay, it takes you all the way from knowing nothing through being a super expert bookkeeper. Okay, so it runs the gamut. This particular exercise is like it's actually the second this is module 1, lesson 2. Okay, so this is very early on exercise to understand about bank feeds. And I'm going to go into much more detail. And for those of you who are new, I always do this. I always go into more detail than what's in the exercise because I'm extra. But so we're going to go into more detail, and this is going to be very simple, but we're going to like pick it apart, because really today what I want you to understand is how the bank feed works. Okay. All right. Okay, somebody's answering Leslie's question. Sorry. Too many L's. Leslie, Lindsay. All right. Okay, so we're going to start by loading the sample company. You can use this link here. There are a number of ways to get to the sample company. This particular exercise uses not your, it doesn't matter. You can do whatever version. If you're brand new, you don't know that there are 3 versions of the sample company. And the level 1, level 2 exercises all use the accountant version of the sample company. That's because level 1, level 2 is specifically for passing the Pro Advisor certification test, and that's specifically for accountants. Okay, so this is not specifically for accountants, and so you can use any version of it. So you can use the link that's in the exercise, or you can type acadian.com/QBO plus, or I don't know, Joel may have put it in the chat. Okay. I think the only one he has is acadian.com/QBOA, but it doesn't matter how you get to, or you can get to it from inside your account. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for what we're going to do today. It's all the same. So here is, so now I've got the sample company loaded. I'm going to go back to my exercise. Okay. Now, oh, actually, this must be the very first exercise. All right. So now all of our exercises are created using a software called Scribe. And Scribe has a Google extension. So you can go, and there's instructions right here on how to do it. And Joel has also put it in the chat. So right here is, if you go to the Chrome Web Store, if you go to the Chrome Web Store and download this extension, it's called Scribe, AI documentation, SOPs, and screenshots, okay, and you install that. Then when you're on using our exercises, you'll see on the white, when you get to a white tile like this little button that says Guide Me. And if I have the sample company open and I have the Google Chrome extension loaded, when I click Guide Me, and I have to confirm here, magic happens. And we get to use see the exercise and the sample company side by side. Okay, so here I have my exercise, here I have my sample company. All right, so now we're going to get started on the exercise. All right, let's see. Okay, I just want to go back to the scenario for a second. A key piece of your job as a bookkeeper is to compare the record at the bank to the record in the software. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So here I am on step 1 on the left navigation bar. Okay, can click bank transactions. Now let me just hold here for a second. So on the left navigation bar, you'll see that there is a menu under transactions. There are these pop-up menus, okay? And everything that you see on the left navigation bar, when I click this, if I go to the transactions center, I'm going to hit close here, that you'll notice that each of these little pop out, this little submenu thing, bank transactions, app transactions, receipts, etc., mirrors the tabs here across the top. Okay, so bank transactions, app transactions, receipts, etc. Okay, so you can bookmark in QuickBooks, you can bookmark the places that you go frequently. And the reason that we have bank transactions up here is because in the sample company, you have it is that they have that one bookmarked. That's what the little bookmark means. Okay. So if I go to reconcile, for example, and I could say bookmark this page. Okay. Now it says reconcile here. Okay. So that's why we've got bank transactions here and we've got bank transactions here. And you'll notice there's this little bookmark here and this little bookmark here that tells me that they're here available. Okay. All righty. Okay. I'll let you guys keep discussing about the. All right. I'll let you guys keep talking about the the Google Chrome extension. We do not we don't control that. It's just a tool that we use. Okay. All right. So back to our exercise. On the left navigation bar, click bank transactions. Alternatively, you can hover over transactions, then select bank transactions. Okay. So that's what we were just talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Since this is the first time in the banking center, you will get a pop-up. Click the X to close it. You saw me do that already. Okay. Now, let me just, I'm going to stop my screen share for a minute so that we can talk face to face. Okay. So, in Bookkeeping Fast Track, we start, like the very first thing that you do is you learn about bank transactions. The reason that we start there, and I did get a little bit of grief about this from one of our accountants. And I said, hey, I'm the trainer and I know how to, I know how to teach this, okay? The reason that we start in the bank transactions is because as a bookkeeper, this is really the majority of your job. The majority of your job is to go through the bank transactions. Why do we do that? Okay. Because when money comes in and out of the bank, all of that money, everything that goes in and out of the bank has to be accounted for. Okay. We can't just rely on the bank itself. We can't just have no bookkeeping and just have the bank, because the bank only knows the amount of money, whether it went in and out. It knows the amount of money. It knows the date, but the date isn't all that accurate, because let's say I write a check. You guys have all done this. Well, I don't know how old you are. I assume that most of you here have written a check. Okay. So, I write a check to my nephew for Christmas and he doesn't know what to do with it. It's like 6 months before he cashes it. Well, I have to record in my software that the money that I wrote to my nephew, that I don't have, I have to pretend like I don't have that money, because he could cash that check at any point. The same is true with all business transactions. You have to keep track of everything that you're doing in real time and not rely on the timing of the bank, because the bank is almost always going to have a delay. So that's especially true with checks, right? There's like, you write a check, you don't control when that person cashes that check. But at the bank, they're only going to see it after it's cashed. They don't see it when it was written. Okay. So the bank has some information. The bank knows that you bought something at Home Depot, but it does not know what you bought. It doesn't know why you bought it. Like, what's the business purpose of this thing that you bought at Home Depot, right? That's why we have software like QuickBooks Online to track all of that stuff, to make sure that the timing is correct, to make sure that we don't, overdraft on the bank account, to make sure we know who we bought something for and why, what it was for. We have to categorize all of that money. Maybe at the bank, there's a transaction Amazon for $100. I don't know what I could be buying diapers at Amazon, or I could be buying office supplies, like I bought this shirt on Amazon, like there's so many things that you can't just, the bank is just going to know the vendor, Amazon, right? So that's why we have software to keep track of all of that stuff. However, it's so important that we know what happens at the bank, that every single thing that happens at the bank has to be matched to a transaction in QuickBooks Online. Okay. So we need both of them. We need the bank, we need QuickBooks Online, or whatever software we're using. Today I'm talking about QBO, and that's what we do here on our Friday live stream, but it could be any software. But you have to match them up and make sure that the bank doesn't have anything you don't, and you don't have anything the bank doesn't. Okay. So that's the process of bank feeds. Okay. All right. Let me share my screen again so we can actually go through this and talk about what we are looking at when we are processing bank feeds. Okay. All right. I'm going to share my screen again. And I have to open up my chat again. Okay. Yes. I always get serious. The face-to-face means that I'm serious, means I need you to pay attention. Okay. So, let's just take a look at this. I'm going to close this left navigation bar so we can see. And actually, I'm going to close this just so we can see. Is that big enough for you? Should I make it a little bigger? There we go. Let's just talk about what we're looking at here. Okay. So when I go into bank transactions, the very first thing I see here are tiles that are my different bank accounts. Okay. So QBO can connect to bank checking accounts, savings accounts, and credit cards. It cannot currently connect to loans, which is unfortunate. But checking account, savings account, and MasterCard. These accounts are listed here because they are connected to the bank. So that QBO has an integration. All software does this now. An integration with a bank to be able to get those bank transactions into QuickBooks Online so that they can then be analyzed and sorted and categorized. Okay. So in the sample company, we have the checking account, savings account, MasterCard, as I mentioned. You can click on these little guys here, this little pencil, and you can edit your sign-in information. You can edit account info. If I click account info, that's going to show me like what I would see in the chart of accounts. This is the chart of accounts. And sign-in info is how I sign in at the bank. Okay. Then that just says that that's the name of the bank. Okay. So those are, I can click on each one. This little drop down, I can reorder them if I want to. I can change the name of them. I can hide them. That's what that little thing is. Right here is where you link new accounts. So if I click link account, then I go through this wizard where it says, hey, let's find your bank. And then what's your login information? Typically, as a bookkeeper, you are not the one linking the accounts. You are guiding your business owner to link the accounts. You need to know where they, how they do it, but they're the ones that are going to actually do it. Okay. So you can guide them either through the chart of accounts, or you can guide them here to link accounts. Okay. This number right here on checking says the bank balance. Now, this is a sample company. Typically, your bank balance is not going to be negative $3,000. That's typically, you're not going to see a negative bank balance. We don't control the bank balance. The bank balance is the bank balance. Okay. It comes from the bank. The sample company is pre-populated. We can't change it. It's nothing we can do. Okay. But in QuickBooks, this is the balance. And these will always be different. They will always be different. Okay, I say always. If you have very few transactions, like if it's a savings account and you only add to it once a month, and maybe you have an interest payment, like sometimes maybe they will be synced. But most of the time, these will not be the same. So don't freak out when you see that. When you come in here and you're like, well, these are not the same. Okay, they're never going to be the same because, like I just said, remember my nephew and the birthday, and the check. There's always, in QuickBooks Online, you're tracking everything that you're doing like right now, and that's going to reflect on the bank some other time. Okay. All right. So these are this in QuickBooks. That's the number. That's the amount. This number right here is the number of transactions from the bank that have not yet been processed. Okay. So this means that since the last time I came in here, 25 transactions happened at the bank. Now, your business that you're working with is going to have all sorts of different numbers of transactions. Sometimes you're going to have hundreds of transactions a day. Other times you're just going to have a handful of transactions a day. How often you process bank transactions depends on the transaction volume of the business. Okay. It's a good idea to keep on top of it, right? But sometimes you only have to come in here once a month. Sometimes you have to come in here every day. Sometimes you have to come in multiple times a day. Okay, it just varies. So these are this is the number of transactions that have come in for you to review. And you'll notice that it also says right here for review 25. That's what that number is. So if I were to count all of these transactions, each row here, I would come up with 25. Okay. Now, how often it refreshes, I don't know. It varies. It is I don't know when it refreshes. If you go in here and you feel like there should be more than that, you can click this update, and then it will pull in any new transactions from the bank. Okay, so that's what update is. So we have for review, we have categorized, and we have excluded. We'll talk about those later. Okay, you can look at only certain dates. You have other filters. You can search for specific ones that you're looking for, etc. Each one of these rows represents a bank transaction. The the date that you see there, and you'll notice that in the sample company, we always have this one that's in the future. Don't ask me why. You won't have that in the future. All of these represent bank transactions. So this is the date of the bank transaction. Then we have the description. Now, the description is not what you see at the bank. The description is what QBO is like a summary version of what you would see at the bank. Most bookkeepers want to see the actual bank transaction information. And so you can use this little gear icon right here to change that. So if I click this little small gear icon, and then I can click this that says show bank details. When I do that, it changes. So it no longer says description, it says bank detail instead. And this is, when you get your bank statement, hopefully you guys are all, even if you're not a bookkeeper for an organization, I hope you are all doing your own personal finances. Okay. So you are using some kind of software, you are reconciling your accounts every month, like you should be doing this for yourself, not just your business, your personal finances. So hopefully every month you are looking at your bank statements from your personal bank. And you know that when you do that, the description is moderately successful, moderately accurate. Sometimes like there's a bunch of numbers and, stuff in it, and you don't always know what it is. Okay. But that specific string of text, that's what will show up in bank detail if you turn that on here in bank detail. Okay. Most bookkeepers like to have that on. If you don't have it on, again, so notice right here, this is the exact bank detail right here. And if I turn it off and it goes back to just description, this is just what QBO is guessing. It just it's like a summary of what it sees there. Okay. Payee is not in the bank transaction at all. The only thing in the bank transaction is the date, the description, and the amount. Okay. It doesn't know who the payee is, but sometimes based on the description or based on the bank detail and based on your history, it can guess who the payee is. And that guess is what you see here under payee. It's just a guess. Let me turn this off real quick. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop here. I see some things in the chat. Yes, of course, recording. Yes. If we have a rule for a recurring transaction, will that transaction be counted for review, etc.? So I had not planned on talking about rules today, but just quickly, the rule is the last thing that is applied. So I'm gonna in just a second, I'm going to be talking about how it finds matches. The last thing, and in the last thing in that list is a rule. So we'll always do the other things first. I don't know if that's going to make sense for you or not. Okay. All right. Let me just go on here. All right. So the next column is categorize or match. The goal always is for you to have, I'm going to take off screen share again. This is another face-to-face. Okay. The correct and proper workflow is for you to create a transaction in QuickBooks Online. And then when the activity actually happens at the bank, it matches that transaction that you have already set up in QuickBooks Online. The majority of what you're doing should be, you've already created the transaction, and really what you're just doing is when the bank information comes in, you're just verifying that, yes, like, yep, that's what it is, that's what it is, that's what it is. That's called a match. Does it happen always in the real world? No. I'll talk about that more in just a sec. But the idea is that you put it in QuickBooks Online and then it matches. Now, when you're putting things in QuickBooks Online, there are there's 5, but there's 4 main. We'll just say that there are 4 main transaction types. Okay. You have The single step transactions are if it's money coming in, then it's a sales receipt. A sales receipt means that you collected the money at the time that you sold the item. Okay. The opposite of that is money out. Why am I blurry all of a sudden? My fingers. I'll hold them closer to me. The second thing is for money out is an expense. An expense means that you paid for something at the time that you got it. Okay. You went to Home Depot and you bought lumber, you paid for it right then. Okay. Sales receipt is money in. They paid you for the thing and you gave them the thing. Okay. Expense, money out, you paid for the thing, you got the thing. Okay. That's the first two. Then we have ones that have delayed, that are two-step processes. First, so sales receipt, expense, one single step process. Then we have two-step processes, which involves if it is money in, okay, you send somebody an invoice, step one. Step two, they paid that invoice. The opposite with money out is called a bill. A bill, you received a bill, like you received your utilities bill, okay? And you received so that's step one, received the bill, and then you paid the bill. That's step two, okay? So in the case of sales receipts and in the case of sales receipts and expenses and sales, so the bank is going to match that specific transaction, right? In the case of the invoice or the bill, it shouldn't match. It shouldn't match when we sent the invoice because that doesn't have anything to do with the bank. What has something to do with the bank is when we actually got the money, okay? And there may be even another step because if you received a check, okay, so you sent an invoice to somebody, step one. Step two, you received the check, okay? Step three, I should quiz you. Who should know? Who knows the step three is what? Quick in the chat. I need to see it. Hey, Deb, good job. And look, Deb is new. Deb, didn't you say that this is your first time? Awesome. Yeah. So you sent the invoice, you received the payment, you deposited the check. Okay. So those are like three different things. All right. So now let's go back to and then bill, and then with a bill, it's just we received the payment and we paid it. Okay, so we received the bill and then we paid it. Okay, so there's all these multiple steps, and you have to think, okay, at what point is the money hitting the bank, and so what is it going to actually match to in QuickBooks Online? All right, so let's pick up our, well, actually, we're not even doing the exercise, are you? Okay. All right. Okay. Christina says, once I saw you in Bookkeeping Fast Track, go back and make the transaction, and then went back to bank transactions and had it match. It made so much sense and really clicked for me. Yay! I joined really late. May I have the link? Oh yeah, Joel, if you could just post the link, the exercise link. We're not even actually, Shauna, we're not even actually on the exercise yet. This is just my Margie being extra and like going over a deep dive of like what we're looking at here. Okay. So going back to, so now this column right here where it says categorize or match, the goal is to match to a transaction. And let's look, I'm going to pick up the exercise in just a second, but I want to look and show you what it's matching to. With this one, there is $868.15. It's matching to a deposit. Remember, that's that third step in the invoice, sometimes, if depending on how they paid, right? Here's a check. Now, this is matching to a check and not to a deposit. So that means that that check was probably mobile deposited. I don't want to get into that. That's going to get that's going to get too confusing. But yeah, if it's a single check, it's probably a mobile deposit, because when you do mobile deposits, remember again that you have to record in QuickBooks Online how it's going to show up at the bank. That's the whole goal. You want to make sure that it matches, okay? So if you do mobile deposits, you take a picture, then you take a picture, then you take a picture, okay? So you have to have a deposit record for each one of every single check that you mobile deposited, okay? Because that's how it shows up at the bank. Those of you who are in Fast Track know that I'm working on the payroll liabilities. And guess what? You have to have a record of every check to every employee, because that's what shows up at the bank. So, and yes, if you have 100 employees, you have to have 100 checks that, or direct deposits that that have to match, because that's what shows up at the bank. Okay. You always, always, always have to be remembering what happens at the bank. Okay. All right. So we've got a deposit, we've got a check. We talked about a bill payment. Okay. So we got the bill. That means so we got the bill. That means a vendor charged us for something. Maybe I got my utility bill. And then I paid that bill. When I got the bill, it didn't show up at the bank. When I paid the bill, it did show up at the bank. That's why it says bill payment. We've got another deposit. When it just says payment, that means, so bill payment is money in, is money out. Payment is money in. When it just says payment, it's a payment on an invoice. 3 steps. Send out the invoice, receive the payment, and then maybe deposit that payment. Now, if it's matching specifically to a payment, just like that single check, that means that payment went directly into the checking account. There wasn't that intermediary spot. It went directly into the checking account. So ACH, credit card, sometimes depending on how you are processing payments. Okay. All right. And then we have refunds. That's another type of transaction. I didn't talk about that one, but yes, that's a thing. So here's another payment on an invoice. We've got a couple, I'll talk about that in a second. So here's a deposit. We've talked about that. A bill payment. Look, a sales receipt. What did I say a sales receipt was? It means you sold something and you received the money at the time you sold it. Okay. So at the time you sold it, you received the money, and that money went directly into the checking account. It didn't go into, it wasn't cash or check, didn't go to an intermediary holding place that had to later be deposited. It went straight into the checking account. Okay. Here is a check 2 that I wrote it a long time ago. It's not my nephew that cashed it 6 months later. This obviously got cashed right away. Okay. Here's another payment. This is money in. This is a bill payment, money out. Here's another check that I wrote, money out. It's a bill payment. And here's an expense, which means like Home Depot, I paid for it at the time that I bought it. Okay. And then here's another check that I sent. Okay. So those are the types of things that it's matching. Oh, I can't help myself. Okay. I'm just going to give you one quiz question. What would happen if you deposited the money, but you didn't record the receive payment? Okay, so in QuickBooks, you send the invoice, then you record the receive payment to say that you've gotten this money, and then you deposit the money. What if you never did that middle step? What if you just had the invoice and then the deposit? Good guesses. These are good guesses. These are good guesses. All right. So Debs thinks that there would not be a match. Laurel says that it would be a duplicate. Stephanie says the invoice would stay open. Pam says the invoice wouldn't show paid. Daria, is it Daria or Darla? Daria, I think, says overage. Chris says undeposited funds would just keep growing. Deanna says it would not clear the invoice and could duplicate income if you add it. Lindsay says it wouldn't count towards the invoice and your accounts receivable wouldn't be correct. Chris says sales could be overstated. Carmen says you have to create the invoice from the bank feeds. I can't read what that says. Maura, no match and open invoice. It would be a credit to a customer, not invoice. Those are all very interesting guesses and takes. Should we see? Let's see what happens. This is so outside the scope of today's exercise, guys. For those of you who are new, welcome to our world, because this is what I this is what I do. But most people seem to like it, so I'm not going to stop. Okay, so let's see what would happen. So, okay, so we sent an invoice. We did not record the payment, but we did deposit the money. Okay, so those are the three things. All right, so here's a payment. I'm going to go to this payment and I'm going to delete it as if it never happened. Delete. Yes, I know. Okay, so now we have an open invoice. We have an invoice with no payment, but we did deposit it. Let's see what happens. Boom, 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 boom. Where did it go? I should have paid attention to which one I was deleting. Oh, man. Oh, maybe I need to, let me refresh my screen. Does it still say? Hold on, let me refresh. Because I'm not seeing what I would expect to see. So let me see. I don't even remember which payment that was that I deleted. So I'm going to have to do another one. Okay. So this is Travis Waldron. I feel like it was, oh, here it is. It's this one right here, uncategorized income, isn't it? There it is. Yeah. Lachey got it. It's this one right here, uncategorized income. So who were the ones that said, I don't know, I can't go through. Was it Pam? Okay. So if I were to just, so whoever was talking about duplicate income, whoever was talking about that, if I then added this right now, that invoice would stay open out there, right? It would stay open out there. I would never know that I had received that payment. And because what is happening with my camera? Hello? I keep waving my arms. Let me get tight in. Uh-oh. Oh no, I'm fuzzy. Well, I'm tiny so much because I'm screen sharing. I'm tiny. Maybe you can't tell that it's thing. So anyway, so yes, it would be, if I just clicked add here, it would show up, it would be duplicate income because I would have this deposit of $50, but I still have this $50 in accounts receivable. So it looks like I still have this happen. For a future class, I had this happen, but had deposited it into his personal account. Yeah, that is a future class. All right, let me see if I can fix my camera there. I don't know what's happening. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's see if we can find, I'm sorry for all the newbies because I got distracted on this question and now we're totally off base. I hope you'll forgive me. So let's see if we can match it to an open invoice. So here are, did anyone pay attention? I should have paid attention when I was doing this. This is what happens when I get off on the fly. Can you sort by columns? Yes. Oh, this amount? Yeah. Was this it? I think this was it. It just didn't apply. It just hadn't applied to a full, I think the payment was not a full payment. You know what? Let's do this again with a different one that we're paying attention to, that I'm paying attention to. Okay. Here we have one that is cool cars. Let's take a deeper dive look at it. Payment 1886. So this is a payment to invoice 1004. If I go to 1004. All right, so this particular invoice was paid with two payments. One that was 1675.52 and one that was 694. Okay, so this is that payment. So if I go to this one right here, I'm going to write it down. 694 cool cars. So I don't lose track because I just did that off the top of my head, guys. So, all right. All right, so let's go to this payment. And we're going to delete this payment. And now see what happens to the income. Oh, it's still matching, but I think I have to refresh my screen. Okay, here's what I was trying to cap. Here's what I expected on the last one. And I didn't see it. Notice it says invoice 1004, open balance. So it's going to actually try and find an invoice that has an open balance. Now, this is what I expected actually when I did the first one, and I was surprised I didn't see it. So what happened to our $50 one? There it is. So I'm not sure why. I would have to do it all over again and pay attention to, I would have to think that through. Maybe that will be our next exercise. You can search for the deleted transaction. Can I search for the deleted transaction? I mean, I guess I could go to the audit log. All right, we're getting way off track of our exercise, guys. Let's go. Would it be because the invoice was actually $54 and not equal to the $50 payment? Yes, that's precisely what I was trying to say earlier. Yes. Okay, so here is the one that I deleted. Good thinking, whoever that was. $50, 55. But it doesn't tell me what it was applied to. Freeman Sporting Goods Twin Lane. Oh my gosh, you guys who are brand new, I feel so bad that we got so off track. It's all my fault. Oh man. I am always a little crazy, yes, but I don't always get this deep in the what the heck is happening. Okay, match. Yeah, this is the one. So yeah, the $50 one, there's no matching amount that's open. Well, it still should say that there's only, yeah, because the whole amount, yeah, that's what happened, is that this amount 54 is open, so it doesn't know to apply just the $50 to the 54. Whereas with the other one, the where'd it go? The 694, that is the open balance of that amount. And so that's why it knew to find that one. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to get back to the exercise. I'm sorry that I let us all on astray. Okay. All right. Chris says I learned so much from every deep dive. So, yay. I'm glad to hear that. All right, yes, 55 Twin Lane, it went to uncategorized income. Yes, because yeah, hopefully we understand that. It's because the invoice now is open at $54, whereas on the Cool Cars one, the remaining balance matched exactly what we had deposited. Okay, can you sort by columns? Yes, we did that. We can search for the deleted transaction. Thank you, Lachey. Silly question. I don't know, Deb. We'll see. Would we be entering into QBO for the client, or would they, or is that part of what we offer in the engagement? That is an excellent question, and it depends on the engagement, as Jane has already answered. Yeah. All righty. Okay, it wasn't applied yet. I don't know what you're talking about, Deb. That wasn't applied. All right, let's get back to our exercise, folks. We're so far off, and it will not match. We've been messing with these transactions, so it's now no longer going to match exactly what we see in the transaction, in the exercise. But the good news is you can do the exercise over and over and over. That's what's so wonderful about our exercises. Well, one of the many things that's so wonderful about our exercises. All right, so let's get back to our exercise. We were at bank transactions. Okay. In a real life scenario, okay, so what we had done was we had gone to bank transactions. I talked about how to get there, bookmarking, all of that good stuff. Okay. You have to close this little box. Okay. Now it says, in a real life scenario, you would want to double check to make sure that what QBO thinks is a match is actually matched correctly to QBO transactions. Since you are the one that entered the transactions in the first place, you'll learn how to do this in a future exercise. You can usually do this fairly easily with a quick glance. Although, as we were just talking about with Jane and Deb, it depends on the terms of your engagement, how much you are doing versus how much the client is doing. Okay. So if the client's doing it, entering them all, and you're just doing the matching and reconciling, which is another step, then you might not recognize them. But if you're doing the entering, then when the bank transactions come across, then you'll recognize, oh yeah, that was that. Oh yeah, that was that. That was that. Okay. And also, like, I just want to point out too that you will find a rhythm with the business that you're working on. Like, you will come to know the typical vendors that they use, and like there's a rhythm to the books. Typically it's not um super crazy all the time, so you'll figure out the rhythm for that business and you'll recognize, oh yeah, the owner always buys off his coffee grounds at whatever, like you'll get into it. Okay. So for this exercise, we're going to assume that the matches are correct. Also for this exercise, we'll just be working with a checking account, which is already selected. Okay, so right here, which I talked about. And then, but this other accounts, it's actually the same. Okay, so now let's get into the exercise. I'm going to close the left navigation bar to give us some more space. All right, so what we talked about, where I ended, where we got distracted, was this column, categorize or match. Okay, so this is where QBO is going to give you its guess as to which transaction in QuickBooks Online it's matching to. Remember, that is the goal. That is the ultimate goal, is to have a transaction in QuickBooks Online first, and then when it happens at the bank, you then match it. Okay. You match it to what you've already recorded in QuickBooks Online. That is the perfect scenario. That is exactly the way it's supposed to work. Does it always work that way? Absolutely not. But it's still, you have to know like how it's supposed to work. Okay. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to sort this list by just the suggested matches. Okay. And we can do that by using this filter right here. And we're going to click suggested matches. So that's step 3. Now, there are a couple of transactions that have multiple matches. Let's address those first. Okay, so I previously went through and I showed you how, okay, well, this is matching this thing in QBO and this is matching this thing in QBO. Okay, well, what if it can't narrow it down? If it can't narrow it down, then it's going to say that there are multiple. This one says 2, but it could be 10. Like it could be 100. Like if they're all the same amount. So when QBO initially does the search, when it initially attempts to match, it is only searching by the amount and the date. That's all. Okay, the amount and the date. Remember that the payee is not real. The payee is just what QBO thinks is, potentially, maybe from the bank description, what it thinks it probably the payee is. Okay. Also remember that the description is not real. It's just what QBO summarizes, sort of thinks maybe this is kind of what it is, okay? The actual bank detail is displayed down here. And in this case, the bank detail says Pam Sites. This number right here, this date, is the date of the bank feed transaction. This down here, it's looking for, so it's looking for an amount, a -75. This is money spent, okay? So it's looking for money spent within this date range. That's all it's searching for. Amount and date. That's it, period. Amount and date. Well, and, open, like, it's not gonna, if it's already reconciled, it's not gonna look for it. So, the types of transactions, so, or if it's already matched to another, it's not gonna find, but okay. So it found a transaction. This row right here is actually coming from QuickBooks Online. So this is an expense. This is a type of transaction. We just talked about the differences between expenses and bill payments. So this is the expense. And as you saw me do, we could click on this and actually look at the expense that it's attempting to match it to. This right here is the date from QuickBooks Online, the date in QuickBooks Online. This is the amount. This right here is the vendor in QuickBooks Online, okay? So we can see with our human eyes that this is the correct transaction to match to this bank feed transaction, okay? Let's see. If the dates will vary, I described all of that, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So now it's also saying that a potential match is this other thing, but this one is Books by Bessie. So we're like, no, that's not it. This is the one that it's correctly matching to. So I'm going to click match. Okay. All right. So when I did that, the Books by Bessie one is no longer a duplicate. So that one says, oh, there's only one out there to match to. So let's do that one. All right, so the next one that's left is the Squeaky Clean Car Wash. So if I click Squeaky Clean Car Wash, remember again, it's looking by date and it's looking by amount, okay? Now the date range that it's searching is 90 days before and 20 days after the date of the bank feed transaction. This is the bank feed transaction. These down here are the QuickBooks Online transactions that it's attempting to match to. Okay. And if we look, we can see, so these both say Squeaky Clean Car Wash. This one is a check. The only reason it says debit is because somebody wrote the word debit in where the check number is supposed to be. And then we have a cash expense. Okay. So either one of these could be a match. But what we're going to do this time is we're going to look at the date. We say, look, this is the QBO transaction, March 6th. This one up here, this is the bank transaction, March 6th. So those two, we're going to assume those two are the correct match. And we're going to click match. Okay, so we just did all of that. Okay. All right. And there's a little note in here that says, if this were a real situation, you would want to investigate the other transaction later. It is kind of weird that it would say cash payment. And if it were cash, it wouldn't show up in the checking account. It's just all kind of weird. So we're going to go to, we're going to go ahead since there's only single matches left. Okay. Since there's only single matches left, now we can check all of them. We're going to check all of them, clicking the checkbox at the top. And then I'm going to click accept. I'm going to say, yep, these are all good to go. I'm going to click accept. All right, so we have processed all of the suggested matches in the bank feed. There are still 5 transactions with no match, but you will dive into those in a future lesson. Okay. All right. And it does say, remember to keep this lesson of the sample company open. That's only because this exercise came from the bookkeeping fast track. And so so you only have the next exercise if you have that course. All right. You'll notice that I'm going to go ahead and exit the exercise because we're done with the exercise part. And you'll notice that it says we couldn't find any transactions that match your search. It's like you're getting an error message, but really that just means that the filter is still on. So our filter here said we're only looking for suggested matches. We're not anymore. So I can click this X and that will clear the filter. And now we have these, well, it should be 5, but there's actually 6 transactions that are remaining that we would have to figure out. And in a real life scenario, you're often adding them directly from the bank feed. Okay. And that's what the add is. But you never, ever, 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 ever want to click this add button right here. They should probably take away that add button. In fact, the whole bank feed transaction experience is being redesigned by Intuit right now. And so soon, sometime this year, I think they're going to release an entirely new bank feed processing experience. And so then we will have to change all of our training. That will be fun for us. So, okay. All right, let's see. So Deb says, can we set the search terms to look back 120 days or back and 45 days forward? And the answer is no, you cannot change the setting in QBO. There's no setting like that. However, as I mentioned, you would never, ever, ever want to click this add button. What you want to do first is you want to open it up like this. And then you're going to search for you're going to search, it's going to search for all of the open, excuse me for a sec. Sorry about that. It's going to search for all of the available transactions to match, but not by amount. So remember I said it searches by date and it searches by amount. That's it. Well, when you click that match button, now it's going to search only by date. It's not searching by amount. And when you do that, you can change the range. So now it's no longer the 90 days back and 20 days forward. Now it's bigger. Now it goes back like an entire year. So, which is helpful for if you're doing a cleanup and you have to go back and find something really old. But here's where you can just on a one time, but you can't change the default dates for what it's looking for. This is really helpful. And I'm going to, let me show you this other transaction. We do this transaction in other exercises, not the one we're doing today, but so right here, this Hicks hardware is a good example. If I click Hicks hardware and then I go to, if I go to match, now remember it's ignoring the amount. This is the amount of the bank feed transaction right here, 2438. And now it's no longer searching for the amount, it's only searching for the dates. And so when I do that, as I look through here, I can see, oh, there's an expense here for Hicks hardware for $24, $24.36. This is the one from QBO. This is the one from the bank. The bank is always right. Okay. So I say always, every so often I have somebody come to me and say, the bank is not always right. There was this weird wacko situation where this other thing happened. All right, 99.9999999% of the time the bank is right. And this, you are wrong because you are the one that entered it, or you are the business owner, whoever entered it in QBO. It's easy to mistake a 6 and an 8 on a receipt. So, so you would have to go back and in order to match this one, you'd have to go back and actually change this, this expense, which you cannot do from this screen, which is highly annoying. Okay. All right, that is our exercise for today. I think I got all your questions answered. All right. So as part of I'm going to close all these windows. Oh, the drawing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let's do the drawing right now. Let's do the drawing right now. Then we'll talk about marketing. Okay. So the way that you get entered in the drawing. So every month in the locker room, we do a drawing. So on locker room live. So the first Friday of every month, we do a drawing. The prize is a free month of the gym. So whatever you're paying for the gym, if you got whatever you got it for discounted or whatever, like whatever you're paying for the gym, you get a month of it free. If you paid in it for a year in advance, then we extend your subscription, however we're doing, like we extend the subscription a month. Okay. So that's the prize. And the way you get entered, I'm still screen sharing. I keep forgetting. Okay. So the way that you get entered, I should be still screen sharing, is that whenever you earn a badge, so the whole gym is gamified. So as you're working through the gym, when I created it, my thought was it's Duolingo for bookkeepers, is that I wanted like all these like fun, exercises and things to do. And so it's all gamified. And as you do things, there's little ka-chings and, bells and whistles and hurrah, and you earn badges. Every month that you complete, you earn a badge for that month. And if you go in the Facebook group and tell us what was your big aha, like what you loved about that, then you get entered in the drawing for the month. So, and I don't know if I mentioned, it doesn't take you an entire year to go through a year's worth of the gym. It only takes about 42 real-time hours. It takes about 3 to 4 hours per month for the client. And that's about average. Like that's a nice, easy client that you would have to work for. So it's possible, like it only takes 42 hours. So you could get an entire year's worth of experience in a month if you really put your mind to it. And so you can't, every time you get a badge, you can put in your aha and, tell us what you loved, what you learned about, in that month. So your name could potentially be in the drawing 12 times. Okay. So I haven't looked at it yet. You might see duplicates, but that's how that happens, is because somebody was just kicking butt and they earned all these badges. Okay. All right, so let's go back to open that again. Okay. So here's where you go. If you are in the gym and you are posting your ahas, you go to the guides at the top here. Okay. And there is a page for each month. Don't write it here. You have to write it in here. And we actually give you the link. When you earn the badge, we email you like, hey, woohoo, you got a badge. And, be entered in tell us what your aha, what you loved, whatever, and we give you the link. So you know exactly where to go. Okay. All right. So let's see. Jen says, I learned how to record the sale of inventory and the expensive equipment. I'm loving this hands-on practice, becoming more familiar with the transactions. Ha! 20 years of using QuickBooks Desktop, and I never knew you could split invoices like that. This old dog just learned a new trick. Daria. Oh, Daria is on the call today. I had so much fun doing the February workout. I had no idea how versatile QBO was. Estimates and purchase orders, who knew? I love how the exercises were grouped. It made a lot of sense, and the hands-on experience was fun. I enjoyed finding different ways to find things in the different tabs. I can't wait to take on the other free exercises. I'm so much more confident in the early stages of my learning. Woohoo. All right, I always do February, so let me pick pick a different one. Random. We'll do July. I always pick oh, there's only, let's see. Where is my, here we go, here we go, here we go. Wow, 23. D says, year 2 in the gym, it is a big help to be able to go back over what you've done each month. So that's a thing I don't talk about often, is there's actually 2 years of the gym. So you can get 2 years of experience, and we do give you a certificate at the end of each time. So we'll tell you that, you have 2 years of experience using QuickBooks Online. So, anyway, so yeah, I don't talk about it much because you have to get through the first year first, and it's harder. I mean, year 2 is harder. So so anyway, we'll get you through the first year first. All right, Holly says, the QBO Gym has been a game changer for me to learn and practice bookkeeping skills. The hands-on practice that the gym offers is so important for me as a visual learner. Logging employee time to a project was an aha moment for me. Yes, and they just changed Alicia and I just recorded our for those of you who don't know, I'm a guest host on the unofficial QuickBooks Accountants podcast. The primary host is Alicia Katz Pollock, and she so there are rotating co-hosts with her. So I'm one of the rotating co-hosts, and I do a segment with her called Look What I Found, which is we find all of these little changes to QuickBooks Online, and then we talk about them. It's very fun. And one of the changes, I hadn't seen it, but Alicia had, was they changed the interface of the weekly timesheet. So, yeah, so that was one of the things we talked about. Joel, could you put the link to the podcast in the chat too? If anybody wants, listen wherever you find your podcasts, but we also have a link there so you can listen. Okay. Jen said, learning how to create a project, the step-by-step instructions are, oh, this is the one. Oh, look, Mary says, processing bank feeds has become the most important and even essential process to know in QBO. I did not even pick this one because we did processing bank feeds today for our exercise. That was just serendipity. Processing bank feeds. Okay. I love reconciling bank statements and have a vast experience in it, but QBO has done a good job of continuing my confidence in reconciling bank accounts. I'm sure she meant to say, I don't know, Mary, I haven't seen your name on the chat, so I don't know if you're on, but I'm sure she meant to say QBO Gym, not QBO. Oh, here she is again later saying, I think that it's very cool. All right, so that's enough. I'm glad that's so funny that I picked that. All right, let's do our drawing. So we do one drawing for every 25 entries. Let's see how many we have today. 44 entries. And you can see, that's why I mentioned there's double. So like D, whoo, look at, holy cow, D is in there a ton of times. All right, so, wait, let me just stop my screen share for a second. I just want to double check to make sure these are this month's names and not last month's names. I know he gave it to me, hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. This one. No, not that. Hold on. This one. Yep, that's correct. Okay. All right. Awesome. Oh, right. I have to share again. Share we go. If D is not one of the winners, I don't know what to tell you. Because look how many times D is in here. So many, oh, so many times. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Let's see. Darius says, how do we get multiple entries? Okay, Lindsay's answering. Yeah, because I already answered that. How you get, because you can, every time that because you can earn multiple badges in a month, and it's every time you earn a badge. Okay, here we go. Spin the wheel. Oh, there's 44 entries, so I'll do 2. And what do you know? D Bowman. Woohoo! All right, D. Congratulations. All right, let's do the next one. We're going to remove just that entry, and we'll see if she wins again. All right. But there's other competitors. There are other competitors in for, and oh, it was so close to Linda. It was so close. D has been kicking butt in the gym. Woohoo! Congratulations. All right, one more thing we need to talk about before we wrap it up for today, and that is, where is my link? This one right here. So in addition to the exercise, in the QBO gym, you also get marketing prompts. Now, the reason that we developed these marketing prompts is because I kept hearing from people, oh, I know I'm supposed to post on my social media, but I don't know what to say. And I thought, how um sorry, I got distracted by the chat. And I just kept thinking, how do you not know what to say? Like, you're constantly learning something. Just always post, just be posting QBO quick tips. Like, Acadian is not a marketing company. And you'll hear me say all the time, we're not a marketing company. We will never be a marketing company. Although I will tell you that yesterday I said that we just hired a new marketing person, and I said that to him, we're not a marketing person. And he said, oh, I could create, it would be super easy for me to create a course for your students on marketing. I was like, oh my gosh, my students would eat that up. But he's brand new. Like, he just started on Monday. So if you guys are excited about it, which I'm sure you are, then just like sit tight, because that's not coming for a while. But my point is that I always say we're not a marketing company, but so many of you are, want so badly to learn how to market. And really the way to market is to constantly tell people that you are a bookkeeper. That's how you get clients. It's very simple. You constantly tell people that you are a bookkeeper. And a way that you can do that is to post QBO quick tips. And so in the gym, you actually earn quick tips as you are going through the gym. But with the exercise of the week, we have one prompt per exercise. And so today's is, you learned about processing bank feeds. Here's a sample post, QBO quick tip. Bank feeds can save you a ton of time if you know how to use them right. Accepting suggested matches in QuickBooks without reviewing them can lead to duplicate entries or miscategorized transactions. Want to keep your books accurate without the mess? Let's make it happen. So you can turn this into a post of some kind. You can post it as is. You can use what we call the 3-2-1 method. I think Joel maybe put that in the chat. Yeah. So the 3-2-1 method is a marketing method we've adapted from another company. You can watch the video, you can learn all about it, and how to use the marketing prompts. If you would like group support on actually doing that, if you would like help staying accountable with other people who are working in the group, we do have something called the Getting Clients cohort. This is something we do every month. April is closed, so April is already going gangbusters. But you can sign up for the May cohort. Joel has put that in the chat, and you can work with others to, in a single month, you're going to learn how to set up your LinkedIn profile. We only teach LinkedIn on, in this cohort, but you could apply this method to anything. Set up your LinkedIn profile, set up Calendly. You'll learn how to use Canva, how to create a logo and brand these QBO quick tips that you can then post. And then you have group accountability to actually get it done. And we actually help you. So if you are shy, if you're worried, if your heart races a little bit when you think about like putting yourself out there, we have an entire program that helps you get out of your comfort zone, do uncomfortable things in a more comfortable way, and to help you like really step into your power so that you can go out and actually get a client. And we guarantee in the Getting Clients cohort that you will have a client conversation. Now, we can't control that whether you close that client or not. Like, that's up to you. But we guarantee that if you follow our instructions, that you will have people to talk to about your services or your money back. Okay, so that's the Getting Clients cohort. Um, if you're not ready for that yet, and you would rather just, but it would be helpful for you to be with other people, then you hear me on Mondays talk about the study hall. Joel has put a link to the study hall in the chat. Also, the study hall is just, again, it's an opportunity for a group to get together and hold each other accountable. How many times have you bought a course and it just sat on the shelf, right? You just never got around to it. It's always easy to cancel on yourself. You don't as often cancel on other people. So if you have an appointment, you can show up, you can be with a group. The way that it works, there's 10 times during the week that you can, and this is for a nominal fee. We have to pay Lindsay who runs it, but um, uh, you have up to 10 times per week, so that's 40 times in a month where you show up, you set your intentions, everybody says hi and whatever, and you turn off your camera and you just work. You just do focused work for 50 minutes. Then everybody turns back on their camera. They celebrate like what they've been able to accomplish, ask questions, all this stuff. It's a great, looks like Susan's in it. She says study hall is so much fun and we get lots of work done too. So yes. So, anyway, so yeah, so Joel has put the link to that also in the, we're now posting this week at Acadian in the group every week. I hop on and I say, okay, here's what's happening. Here's all the stuff you can be a part of because we really want you to be successful. We're trying to provide you with as many tools because here's the thing, guys. You've heard me say, I know a bunch of you are new, but you hear me say it over and over. The world needs you. The world needs good bookkeepers. There are not enough good bookkeepers in the world. And we are trying to raise an army of amazing people who can go out and help these business owners. So many business owners are lost. They don't know what to do. Their books are a mess and their businesses suffer. And when businesses suffer, communities suffer. And we can make a real impact. You guys can make a real tangible impact on the world when you get your skills in order, get out there, start helping people in the community get clarity on their numbers, and let them focus on what they're good at, so that and you can just handle the bookkeeping for them. So anyway, get out there, get into the world. Let's see, do we have any last? Leslie says, yes, I really enjoy the study hall. Lindsay, who's our program manager, says, in study hall, you get so much work done. And one of the best parts is that you connect with other group members. It really does make a difference. Yeah, excellent. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me. Don't forget, there will be no live stream next week as I'm traveling. But I will, of course, keep you up to date on all of the fun stuff that's happening. Joel just put in the chat the ChatGPT prompt for the marketing prompts. I've been talking I didn't talk about it today, but I have been talking about the last couple of weeks about how to use ChatGPT to develop marketing prompts, and I really encourage you to. I mean, I think it's still free, so I really encourage you to work with ChatGPT on ways that you can get yourself out there. And it's super, super, it's like having another brain just to, you know, get ideas. All right, let's see. All right, Joel. Yes, I am headed to Canada. So I know we have a couple of Canadians. Our courses are specifically designed for US-based people. Let's see. Here is a link. Oh, yeah, the accelerator is no more. Joel, we need to change that in the spreadsheet. Is because we ran into a trademark issue with the term bookkeeping accelerator. So we have changed it to bookkeeping fast track. So actually I will make a note. Fast track in the planner. Okay. All righty. You guys have a great weekend. I will still see you on Monday. I'll still be posting on Monday this week at Acadian. And then the following Monday, I might be traveling. I can't remember. But anyway, I can still do this week at Acadian, even if I'm traveling. I just can't do this live stream while I'm traveling. So, all right, you guys have a fantastic week. I can't wait to hear your success story.